We welcomed Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg to Silicon Slopes Tech Summit 2020. We talked about why he believes it's more important to be understood than liked, whether social media is making the world more polarizing, the effects social media has on one's mental health, product trends he's most excited about in the decades to come, whether he believes he's taking heat on behalf of the entire internet, and why he's become more religious these past few years.
Excited to be here. Love Utah. I'm glad we were just building a big data center here up in Eagle Rock. Really excited about that. It's like a $1 billion project.
It's Eagle Mountain, but that's. I just want you to know that's why you got that response that you got. But
Eagle Rock is in Tahoe.
Eagle Rock is awesome.
You know, my bad. All right.
Eagle
awesome.
Rock might
We're
be
off to a great start. Off to a great start.
Recently, you shared in a press conference that one of Facebook's focuses for the next decade is that it is more important to be understood than be liked. Will you just share what you meant by that?
Last year, I gave this speech around our principles around free expression. And, you know, that's just one of the areas that I really feel like is under attack right now. Increasingly, we're getting called to censor a lot of different kinds of content that makes me really uncomfortable. I think that it kind of feels like the list of things that you're not allowed to say socially keeps on growing, and I'm not really okay with that. I mean, clearly, there are definitely a lot of bad things that we need to go do our job and help get rid of. Terrorism, child exploitation, incitement to violence, things that are going to cause imminent physical harm. And we invest a ton in this. I mean, we have 35,000 people working on content and safety. Our budget on safety at this point is bigger than the whole revenue of our company was when we went public in 2012. And we're a pretty big company then. There were like 1 billion people using our services. So we're focusing a lot on that. But at some point, I just felt like, all right, we got to stand up and say, no, we're going to stand for free expression. And yeah, we're going to take down the content that's really harmful. But the line needs to be held at some point. And I think that this is just, I think it's unfortunate that this is such a controversial thing. You know, when I got started in 2004, it wasn't.
There is a lot of talk that social media leads to, enhanced polarization in the world. How do you respond to that?
So, first of all, this is something that I care a lot about. The mission of the company, like I just said, is to help people build community and bring the world closer together. So, the last thing I want is for our products to be used to divide people or kind of rip society apart in any kind of way. Polarization affects across many different countries around the world. And the finding is that while social media is obviously a global phenomenon, right, and it's in pretty much every country. I mean, we're not in China, we're not in North Korea, but we're pretty much in every other country. That polarization is trending in very different directions in different places. While it's increasing in the U.S., it is flat in a lot of Europe. It is down in a lot of other countries. So if the main thing that we're driving polarization around the world were that now you're giving everyone a voice and that is somehow having this negative effect, then it doesn't really make sense that you wouldn't see that uniformly everywhere. So that doesn't mean that there aren't some issues that we need to work on, and I really care about making sure that we get that right. But I do think that as the data starts to come in, it's refuting some of these kind of mainstream narratives that weren't grounded in data in the past, that hopefully people are open-minded and are willing to look at the data and aren't so wedded to their narratives about what technology and the internet and social media and our company in particular are doing, and that they'll actually look at what the data says on this.
As you mentioned, you're a product guy at heart. When you look at the next decade, what product innovations are you most looking forward to? What product trends are you excited about?
But when I look at our private social apps today, they're still pretty much just texting. And I think when you fast forward, that's not going to be how it is in the future. I think we're going to have private social platforms which are as robust as the digital town square type social platforms that we have, but for all the different ways that we want to interact publicly, small groups, sharing location in private ways, interacting with businesses one-on-one, just being able to hang out right? I mean, it's some of the stuff around video chat, just making that so you feel more and more present. I think that this push towards delivering through technology this sense of intimacy is, I think, going to be an increasingly important trend over the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, one way that I think about this is that one of the first superpowers that the internet gave us was the ability to connect with anyone around the world. It's very different from how a lot of us grew up, right? I mean, when I grew up, still long-distance calls were prohibitively expensive to communicate with anyone outside, my town or city. Now we have access to everyone around the world. So that's awesome. Right now instead of growing up in a 10,000 person town, we have a community of billions of people. We have access to all this great content. But I think part of that is a little disorienting too. And I think that we all kind of want a sense of intimacy and community. And I think that a lot of the next set of trends are going to be around building social products that help build that as well. It's not that the digital town squares are going to go away. I think they'll keep on growing, and there's a lot more to do there as well. But I think that the intimate spaces are going to be really important. So that's probably one of the big things that I'm most excited over the next period. I kind of think that right now a lot of the payments infrastructure has been built up very nationally. So you look at different countries and it's all, a lot of it is very country specific. It's very hard to do commerce or move money across borders. And I think that could be a lot easier. So there's a lot of really exciting stuff to do there. Do I have time for one more?
Please.
All right. So probably the thing that I think is the craziest that I think we're going to get in the next 10 years is real, true augmented reality and kind of a more mainstream virtual reality. And the reason why I'm so excited about this is because I don't know how many of you have used virtual reality or any of the Quest or the Rift or any of the stuff that we're building. Awesome. Yeah, Quest is doing quite well, and I'm really excited about that and the community that's getting built up around it. So for those of you who've tried this, what you know is that the experience of virtual reality, what it really is it's delivering a feeling of presence. Right? You feel like you're right there with another person or in another place, no matter where you actually are physically, right? You could be playing ping pong with someone halfway across the world. In the future, we could be doing this interview, and this could be like hologram you interviewing me.
Right.
And I really think we're gonna get that, and that's gonna be way more powerful than just being able to make a phone call or a video chat. And when you think about some of the stuff that unlocks, I mean, on the social side, that's like the holy grail of experiences of people connecting, stuff that I've just wanted to build for 15 years, but right now we're kind of in this box of building stuff on a phone instead of actually getting to build stuff where people actually feel present. But think about it for the economy, right? Today, so much of people's opportunity is tied to small number of cities that they may or may not want to move to, and then you do move there, and then like housing is too expensive, and the infrastructure is too congested, and it's like not that good. So why can't it be the case that people can access any opportunity that they want, living wherever they want? Well, in a future where you can actually, wear normal-looking glasses and be present anywhere that you want to, something like that should start to be possible. It shouldn't really matter where you live. You can live in a place that matches your values, where your family is, that has the community that you want, and access the opportunities that you want in other places. And I think that that's going to be a huge thing for economic growth and for equalizing opportunity, not just across the country, but around the world. Not to mention it should be good for the environment, because it's a lot easier for us to move bits around than it is for us all to commute and move atoms.
If you were starting a company today, would you start it in Silicon Valley?
No. No, it's not.
You should move to Eagle Mountain. You could start a company there.
I love Utah. This has got to be like one of the most beautiful states. I mean, if I had a free weekend, this is, yeah.
I have to ask you this. Do you feel like you're taking heat on behalf of the entire internet?
That's what leading is. I'm always very sensitive on this because, it always feels very tough whatever challenges you're dealing with feel very, they're very personal. You feel that very acutely, and then other people's challenges, it's easy to abstract away. So I always think you need to be careful about kind of judging the position that you're in compared to others. But objectively, I do think that Silicon Valley or the tech industry and our company in particular are just at the center of a lot of social issues. And what I think we have a responsibility to step up and make progress on a lot of these things. There are real questions that the internet raises, around the democratic process and the integrity there, around free expression versus safety, around privacy and competition and well-being and all these things. And we need to get these right? And I think a lot of this, it's not that any one company can get it right by themselves. I think we need, it needs to be a broader approach, and it's going to require government as well. But certainly, I feel like we have a big responsibility in this. So I just want to make sure that we do the best that we can on this stuff, and we just take it all super seriously. It weighs on us a lot. If you can be clear about the principles and make sure that the team is aligned on that, you can perform miracles, and without that, everything becomes so painful.
Who are your mentors? Who do you call for advice?
Well, I think that it's different people for different things. I've become more religious.
Really?
Yeah. I think that there's that's not really a mentorship thing, but it's, but
kind of.
I do think that there's a scale. I don't know. The last few years have been really humbling for me, right? I thought I knew a lot about how to build something, and I don't know. I think that there's just a comfort in knowing and having confidence that there are things that are bigger than you. And to me, that's what giving people a mission is when you're building a company, right? And that's why talking about principles and laying that out so clearly is so important. It's also why I have so much faith in democracy overall. That's why I care so much about giving people a voice, right? I don't know. I think at some point, in order to move forward, given how complex modern society is and all the challenges that we face, you have to believe in things that are bigger than yourself, no matter what form that takes. And I personally, I grew up. I'm Jewish, and so I grew up with that, and that culture has been really important to me. But certainly, I think it's a combination of the challenges that we've been through as a company, and having kids, right? So now, I have 2 girls, 4 and 2, and I just want them to grow up with those traditions too. So, yeah. Anyhow, probably that's kind of a different answer than you were probably expecting, and maybe not even an answer to the question, but feels sort of relevant.
Yeah, that's incredible. You're religious. I love it. So we've been talking a lot about, at this conference over the past 2 days, mental health. And just the challenges of the loneliness of building a company, of being an entrepreneur, the loneliness of being a founder, what it takes, the fact that when you're building it, nobody cares what you're doing. You had a little bit different experience. A lot of people cared. But most people, as they're growing a company at the very beginning, it's very lonely, and it leads to mental health issues. And there's also criticism that social media leads to mental health issues. How do you stay grounded?
We've studied this a lot, because obviously I want our products to be good for people, right? And the research on this is that, like anything, not all internet use or social media use is the same. If you're using products to stay connected with people and you're having meaningful interactions, then that is associated with a lot of positive aspects of well-being, right? You feel more connected, you feel happier, you feel less lonely over time. That's correlated with feeling healthier, better outcomes there. But if what you're doing is, you're using the internet or even if you're just using our products to, just scroll through content passively and, it's just have fun, but not actually interact with people. It's not that that's bad. It just isn't associated with the same positive aspects of well-being that connecting with people is. So I just think what our company is about is giving people a voice, helping people connect. It's that duality of those two things together. And on the connection side, I just always want to make sure that that stays front and center. So, a couple of years ago, we made some really big changes in our products that, like one change, and the changes were designed to make sure that, in Facebook and Instagram, the content that you're seeing is generally going to be about your friends, things that are going to encourage interactions between people that are going to be meaningful. We made one single change that wiped out 50 million hours of viral video watching a day in order to prioritize more content from people's communities. Because, if we showed the viral videos, people would spend more time in the products, but then at the end, they would tell us, hey, I'm not necessarily getting from Facebook what I want, right? You guys are the company that's supposed to help me connect with people, and, there are lots of places I can go to watch videos. I come to you because I want to help connect with people. So yeah, we took down the amount of usage, and I think, what was it? It was a couple months later, we had, I think it was the biggest stock drop in the history of the stock market. I think we lost like $100 billion of market cap in a day when we report our. So, but look, it's, I think we're here to do good things in the world, right? So that's, we're gonna focus on what we think is going to deliver the best experience for people, and I think that research is also, that also has mapped to how I think about my girls using, my daughters using products, for example. Like, I'll let them do video chat with their families because that's about connecting with people. I think that's great. But in general, not as much of the, just passive content consumption.
You're young. We're actually very close to the same age. Our lives are quite a bit different. I recently, paid off my student loans last month.
Congratulations.
But I wonder if you think about, even though you are young, if you think about what you want your legacy to be. What would you want your legacy to be?
Well, what I just talked about. It's I do believe that a lot of the debates that are being had right now around, people are really questioning at a fundamental level, is giving people a voice good? And I believe that there is a pendulum that is swinging, and the pendulum will go back in the other direction towards voice and free expression, and I hope that I can play a part in that. And similarly, I think in terms of individuals connecting, I think right now, for a while when we got started, I think that there was a period where there was more positive press and coverage than anyone ever deserved. So I think to some degree, all the scrutiny I think is fair now as well. But I think people really have turned from thinking that tools that help people connect is going to be a powerful thing and positive for our communities, positive for social cohesion and democracy. And I think the pendulum is swinging there too, but I think that the formula throughout history has been that empowering individuals, more voice, more connection between people. That's you build strong communities, and that's how we make progress together. And if we can do this around the world, I don't know. I think it'll hopefully lead to more prosperity and people living more fulfilling lives everywhere. And if we can be a part of that, then that's kind of what I hope to do.
Thank you so much for coming to Utah. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Zuckerberg.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thanks for coming to Silicon Slopes, Mark. I really enjoyed our conversation and look forward to seeing you in Eagle Rock soon.